Hi, in this lab we will see how to create AWS organization unit and how we can create policies in order to apply controls or policies for the AWS organization unit. So in order to create organization unit, we need to go to the search box and we need to select organization. So here we'll get AWS organization. So let's click this AWS organization. So here in this particular blade, it will ask create an organization. So since I do not have any, that is why it is coming, it is providing this particular menu. Otherwise, you won't get this. You will directly take into the organization. So let's click on create organization. So by default, the account which you created, it will comes under the root. As you can see here, so root, it is the organization unit, and then we have a AWS account which is under the root. So now if we go to our whiteboard, so as I mentioned, when you create a new AWS account, let's say this is your new AWS account. So by default, it comes with the root organization unit. So by default, this is comes under root. So if you wanted to apply any policies, either you can apply on the root level or you can apply on the account level as well. However, this is not recommended, but what you can do instead of that, for example, this is your root, and then you create one more OU. Maybe you can name it as production, then move this particular account under the production. So once you have the structure like this, apply policy here. So similarly, let's say for your non-prod, you have separate accounts. Create one more OU, which is non-prod OU, and move that account, which is non-prod account, under this, and then apply policy related to non-prod to this. However, let's say you have some standard policies which has to be applied on the top level across all accounts irrespective of production non-prod, then only you can apply such standard policies at the root level. So now we will see how we can create OU, which is prod, and how we can move the account from the root, which is here, to the production. So here I am inside the AWS organization. So now what I'm going to do, I'll create one more organization unit which is under root. So for that I need to first select root OU, and then I'll click action and I will click create new. So I'm going to name it as production, and then I will click on create organization unit. So now as you can see, we have a organization unit which is under root, which is called as production. So now if I wanted to move my demo AWS account inside production, the procedure is very simple. I will click the account which I wanted to move, and then I'll go to action and I will click on move, and I will select to which I wanted to move my account. So I wanted to move inside production, and then I will click on move AWS account. So now it is successfully moved the account. So let's expand this production, and you can see now production AWS demo, which is now under production. So the production is under OU. So this is how you can segregate your so this is how you can move your AWS account inside any other organization unit. So now I wanted to create one more OU which is for my non-prod. For example, I'm going to click this, and now I will click on create new. So I will click non-production. I will click create organization unit. So now I have one more unit which is for non-prod. Let's say I wanted to create one more for my test and development. So I'm going to name it as test and develop dev. So I'll click create. So as you can see, now we have three organization unit which is non-prod, prod, and test. So accordingly, let's say if you have accounts which is related to non-prod or dev, so we can move inside this. Further, you can create more organization unit inside the main organization unit. For example, let's say if I wanted to create a organization unit under production, so I have to click on this one, and I need to click on create new. So I'm going to give a name. For example, let's say VDI hyphen prod. So I'll click on create organization unit. So now if I expand prod, I will have one more organization unit, which is VDI prod, which comes under production. So if I wanted to move this particular demo inside VDI prod, so it's very simple. Again, you have to follow this procedure and you need to move inside VDI prod. So this is how we are creating a organization unit in order to streamline our accounts. So let's imagine if you wanted to apply policies, maybe on non-prod or prod or desktop development or at the root level. First, we need to go to the policies in the blade over here, and we will have this type of policies, which is AI service, backup policy, service control policy, and tag policies. So most of the policy which is related to restrictions, etc., etc. So you will find it under service control policy. So by default, it is disabled, so we need to enable this. So let's click on enable service. So now we have enabled service control policy. So once you are in service control policies, here you can create a policy based on your requirement, and then you can attach this particular policy to the organization unit. For example, if I wanted to assign this particular policy, that is full AWS access, I will select this, and then I will attach the policy to the particular organization unit. For example, if I wanted to apply that policy to production, I can select this and I can attach it, so that that particular policy only apply to production, not for other organization unit. For example, let's say if you wanted to apply that permission at the top level, so it means you can select root so that it will apply to everyone. So this is how you can apply policies on the organization unit. So similarly, let's imagine you wanted to create one more AWS account, which may be for your non-production. So, and you wanted to bring that inside this particular non-prod organization unit. So then you have to click on add an AWS account. So here you will have an option, create an AWS account or invite an existing AWS account. So if you already have a AWS account which is created separately, then you can invite them to be under this OU. Or what you can do, you can create a new AWS account and you can give all the details here, like AWS account name, email address, etc. And then you can create a AWS account. So once you create a AWS account, then it will be part of this particular non-prod. So this is how from this particular blade you can create a AWS account, and you can create a organization unit, and you can move inside your organization unit so that you can control all your AWS accounts.